Hello, I'm here in front of the Cheltenham Spa train station to introduce this video in which I will share with you some of the many reasons that I love Cheltenham and why you should consider coming to visit or maybe even live here. Cheltenham is my home away from home, my second hometown, and it's actually a really fantastic place to live. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Dara, and my husband Ian and I live in Cheltenham for part of the year, about 5 months over the summer, and we live in Texas the rest of the year. I love where I live in Texas, but I also love Cheltenham, and now I'm going to talk to you about some of the reasons why. My favorite thing about Cheltenham is the architecture. Whether it's beautiful churches, public buildings, or homes, there are beautiful examples of architecture all around town. Cheltenham claims to be the most complete Regency town in Britain, and all throughout the town you can see lovely examples of this Regency architecture. Ian and I love walking the streets of Cheltenham and admiring the vast collection of well-maintained Regency, Victorian, Edwardian, and Georgian homes. There are also many beautiful churches in town, with All Saints Church probably being the most architecturally special example. Other favorite buildings of ours around town are the Town Hall, the municipal buildings, Cheltenham College, and the many buildings in the Cheltenham Ladies College campus. Another reason that I absolutely love Cheltenham is that it's a very walkable town. To me, it feels like, and I'm being an American, not a Brit when I say this, it feels like a small city because it has all the really great things I want a place to have, but it's so compact that it's easily walkable, especially compared to places in the US. When I live in Texas, I drive all the time. I can't even walk to a supermarket. I have to drive. So it is wonderful to be in a place where I can pop to a local Tesco Express, I can walk to a Waitrose, and it's great to be able to walk into the center of town where I have a load of shops available. I'm currently walking along the Honeyburn line, which is an old railway line that is now this fantastic walking path. And I love that you can be up on the street near the train station and shops and homes and all this busyness of the town, and then you just walk a few meters down and you feel like you're on this nice wooded path that leads into town and also to Waitrose, which is where I'm going today to meet up with some friends. One of the things I love about the walkability of Cheltenham is that I feel like I have so many great things I love about London, but all in the small scale of Cheltenham. The town offers a host of amazing shopping and restaurant options. From humble pubs with classic pub grub to high-end Michelin star restaurants, Cheltenham has a range of eateries. A few of our favorites include the Japanese restaurant Kibu, Muse Brasserie for sumptuous food with a French flair that's a fusion with other cuisines, the elegant and extravagant Ellenborough Park Hotel for a lovely afternoon tea experience, and in the middle of town is another hotel that is iconic and well worth a visit. The historic Queen's Hotel is one of Europe's first purpose-built hotels. It has hosted such esteemed guests as Edward Elgar and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and was named after Queen Victoria because it opened in 1838, the year of her coronation. We enjoyed a delicious and memorable meal there. Then there's a place that we keep coming back to over and over again, the Ivy. The one in Cheltenham has our heart because it is located in a former pump room and bank, which now has been remodeled in Cheltenham horse racing themed decor for a really unique setting in which to enjoy some tasty dishes. We love a lot of things on the menu, but the show stealer is always the famous chocolate bomb for dessert. Cheltenham is not all 5-star restaurants though. We also have a Greg's and a Pret a Manger. I have to make a quick mention of the 2 eating establishments in town with the funniest names. The Giggling Squid Thai Restaurant and the Sober Parrot Cafe. Now let's talk about shopping. The main street of commerce leading into town is the Promenade, or Prom for short. This is where the market is located every other Friday, and I adore coming to shop for delicious local cheeses, straight from the farm produce, and maybe even a cookie or two. There's also a good selection of meats on offer, as well as other sweet treats and unique foods. The Prom intersects with the High Street, which is where most of the shops are located. My very favorite British department store is John Lewis, and we are very fortunate to have one in Cheltenham. But since I am painfully frugal, I don't actually buy much there. I probably purchase more items from Marks & Sparks and Primark a bit further down the street. And despite knowing better, I also keep buying things at the local mountain warehouse. There's a good-sized indoor mall in the town center as well, called Regent Arcade. It features this wishing fish clock, which is allegedly the tallest mechanical clock in the world, at over 45 feet. Whenever Americans ask me where I live in England, I tell them Cheltenham. And they say, "Where's that?" What I usually tell them is that it's about 2 hours northwest of London, in the direction of Wales. That is one of the reasons we decided to buy a flat in Cheltenham. It is an easy 2-hour bus ride from London Heathrow Airport or a 2-hour train ride from Paddington Station in London directly into Cheltenham. Easy peasy. Once you are in Cheltenham, there are lots of interesting places to visit right on your doorstep. If you look at this image of Lower Great Britain, you'll see that within a 1-hour driving radius, there are a number of noteworthy cities and towns to see, including Birmingham, Worcester, Hereford, Bristol, and Bath, as well as Oxford, Stratford-on-Avon, Warwick, Leamington Spa, and Banbury. And if you zoom in a bit, you'll see that within a 30-minute drive, you can get to the city of Gloucester, only 15 minutes from where we live, as well as Stroud, Tewkesbury, Bourton-on-the-Water, and Bybury. Those last two are famous Cotswold villages, but there are loads of other Cotswold villages and towns within a half-hour drive, such as Cirencester, Broadway, Stow-on-the-Wold, Upper and Lower Slaughter, and of course my husband Ian's favorite, Stanton. In fact, Cheltenham's proximity to the Cotswolds is the biggest reason we bought a flat there. Cheltenham is known as the center of the Cotswolds, not because it's at the center, since it's not, it's actually on the edge of the Cotswolds, but it is a cultural center and gateway to this wonderful area. As you learn if you watch any of the 25 videos I've made about the Cotswolds, it is my happy place. You can see the lovely Cotswold Hills from Cheltenham. And if you go to Cleve Hill, the highest point in the Cotswolds, you can see for miles all over the area. If you are interested in the Cotswolds, I hope you check out my Cotswold playlist or some of the specific Cotswold videos that I've linked in the description. It really is a very special area of outstanding natural beauty, and I'm obsessed with the green rolling hills. Cheltenham has some lovely green spaces within the town itself. In fact, Cheltenham Spa is also known as the Garden Town of England. There are several great parks in Cheltenham, but first let's talk about the biggest, Pittville Park. It was opened in 1825, and this 200-year-old park is the largest ornamental park in Cheltenham. It is home to not only the iconic Grade 1 listed Pittville Pump Room, which is a nod to Cheltenham's Regency Spa Town past, but also all kinds of other fun things, like the beautiful lakes that offer waterfowl to feed, boats you can hire to go boating, and an opportunity to go fishing, tennis courts and a skateboard park, and even a pitch and putt golf green. A really fantastic playground with loads of fun play equipment for children of all ages and abilities, and even some fun animals to go visit in the nearby enclosures, including a collection of beautiful birds and cute bunnies. Toward the center of town are two other major parks, Montpellier Gardens and Imperial Gardens. Imperial Gardens is my favorite place to see flowers in Cheltenham. About 25,000 bedding plants are used in this park each year. It's a beautiful place to bring a picnic or enjoy food and drink from the nearby snack bar, pizzeria, or bakery. Montpellier Gardens is a park across the street from the Ivy and one of the nicest shopping areas in town. It is also lined by beautiful Regency-era terraced townhomes. It has a large green space where several of Cheltenham's festivals are held. More on those festivals in a minute. Another favorite park in town is one closer to our flat. Its actual name is Sandford Park, but I like to call it Sandland Park. There are lovely flowers in this park, including both pink and non-pink varieties, and even some wisteria. But I think my favorite part of the park is the beautiful fountains and a massive shady area that's really nice to visit on a hot day. It's interesting to note that the river Chelt runs through this park also. And here in the middle of this circle is not a fountain, but a statue. I believe it's called the Thinker. Speaking of fountains, I have to highlight my favorite fountain in Cheltenham, which is not in a park, but is in the center of town on the promenade, near the municipal buildings and all their beautiful flowers. It is the Grand Neptune Fountain, which is patterned after the Trevi Fountain in Rome. Here is my favorite photo of the fountain, which shows my handsome son, Trent, in front of it. Cheltenham is known as the festival town because it hosts various cultural festivals year-round, celebrating music, science, literature, jazz, and my favorite, food and drink. I've attended the food festival the past 2 summers, and it was super fun and delicious. Montpellier Gardens or Imperial Gardens are 2 locations often used for these festivals, and it's great to see everyone coming together to enjoy these cultural events. Another cultural center is next to Imperial Gardens, the gorgeous Town Hall building, which is home to a wide variety of shows. Speaking of shows, the Everyman Theatre is a gorgeous theater in town. It is where we saw the fabulous musical about the Great British Bake Off, which was simply delightful. I hope to see many more shows there in the coming years. We have owned our flat here in Cheltenham for 5 years, but one thing that I have grown to appreciate the last couple years here in Cheltenham is the street art. While I am not a fan of graffiti, and Ian really rants about how much he cannot stand tagging, we do love beautiful street art. And every year there is a festival here in Cheltenham where more street art is added, and there are some beautiful murals around town. Here inside the tunnels that are on the Honeybourne line almost to Waitrose, there is some brand new street art, which is really great. I love how this shark is just kind of emerging out of the brick. A great place to learn about the fascinating history of Cheltenham is the Wilson Art Gallery and Museum, which is next to the library. Here's a quick recap of some highlights. In 1716, mineral spring waters were discovered in Cheltenham by William Mason. His son-in-law, retired sea captain Henry Skillicorn, was the businessman who took advantage of the waters and opened the first mineral spring spa in 1732. By 1738, he moved to Cheltenham and began marketing it as a spa town. I was lucky to run into Captain Skillicorn himself last year, and he was kind enough to pose for this selfie with me. Cheltenham became a very popular spa town destination for England's gentry after King George III decided to take the waters there and paid a visit for 5 weeks in 1788 with Queen Charlotte and the royal princesses. This plaque notes where the old well path is that Skillicorn created, and the king took the waters. This painting shows the old well walk around Royal Well in the 1780s. This area is now the central bus station in town. After the king's trip, Cheltenham became a hotspot of Regency culture, as fashionable aristocrats would visit the town to take the healing waters, parade themselves on the promenade, and socialize with the affluent residents of Cheltenham living in their lovely Regency homes. While Cheltenham has neither the size nor the fame of the Regency city of Bath, it does have an impressive collection of Regency architecture and a well-preserved promenade and high street. These are very much worth visiting if you are a tourist, and they are central to life if you live in Cheltenham as we do. Another enterprising man in the history of this area was Joseph Pitt, who decided to establish Pittville in the 1820s. And proceeded to open a pump room and plan the building of over 500 houses around the parkland, lakes, and walking paths in this new community adjacent to Cheltenham. Sadly for Pitt, the estate was not quite the success he dreamed. He died in 1842, and by 1890, the area was absorbed into Cheltenham. But thankfully, most of the beautiful pre-1860 homes built in this area remain today, and stunning examples of these villas surround the borders of Pittville Park. I'll finish this history section of the video by mentioning a few other interesting characters from Cheltenham. On the 3rd of October in 1838, John Hampden became the first person to successfully descend back to Earth in a parachute. That 12-minute parachute journey began here in Montpellier Gardens. This is John Milbank, the Cheltenham Muffin Man, who lived here in the early 1800s, though I do not believe he lived on Drury Lane. Another noteworthy figure who lived in Cheltenham in my neighborhood in the 1940s was Brian Jones, a founder of the Rolling Stones. But the most celebrated musician to hail from Cheltenham is composer Gustav Holst, who was born here in 1874. There is a plaque and fountain honoring him in Imperial Gardens, and his birthplace is a museum. The town's mineral spring waters originally put Cheltenham on the map, but these days Cheltenham is famous for its cultural festivals, and it is even more famous for its horse racing. We aren't in Cheltenham when people from all over the world come to town to attend race week, but we have been to the race course for another reason. It's also the location for the start of the Heritage Steam Railway line. Cheltenham has been home to horse racing since 1815. But gained popularity since the start of the Cheltenham Racing Festival in 1860. The current racecourse complex draws huge crowds in mid-March for jump racing and the Gold Cup, with race prize money second only to the Grand National. We visited the racecourse in June for an excursion on the Gloucestershire-Warwickshire Steam Railway. This fantastic heritage railway line runs from the Cheltenham Racecourse to the delightful Cotswold village of Broadway. For more about this fun day out for train enthusiasts of all ages, please see my GWR vlog, which I'll link in the description. The icing on the cake for reasons I love Cheltenham is the friendly people. After buying our flat sight unseen back in 2018, we rented it out full-time for a couple years. Then, in January of 2020, I had to make an emergency trip to the flat to sort it out after one tenant left suddenly and I needed to get it ready for letting. I flew over by myself and stayed in Cheltenham for the first time. The first friend I made on this trip was on the bus, traveling to town from Heathrow Airport, a wonderful 80-year-old widow who lived in Cheltenham at that time but had spent many years living in New York. While staying in town, I called over to the Cheese Works, the fabulous cheese shop, because I wanted to see if I could come film a British cheese tasting. So, ironically, right before the start of the lengthy worldwide pandemic, I had the opportunity to taste fabulous British cheeses and hear all the interesting origin stories about these cheeses from Isaac, the amazing cheesemonger, and helpful Ryan, who acted as cameraman. They were so kind to spend an hour with some crazy American cheese fan who had just started her YouTube channel the month before. Now that I've spent 3 years in Cheltenham, I've formed so many friendships with people I've met there. It's the kind of place where If you see some people eating fish and chips on a park bench near the new Chippy that opened, and you ask, "How is that place? Is it any good?" they will offer you a chip so you can try it out. Yep, that really happened to me this summer. I love Cheltenham, and as I've shared with you in this video, there are lots of reasons why. And that is why it is my home away from home. Please check out this video of our day on the steam railway ride from Cheltenham, or this playlist, which is a compilation of the videos I've done in wonderful nearby places in Gloucestershire. Thanks so much for watching, and do something good in the world today.